I'm Ryan. Some people say raising the minimum wage is nothing more than charity.
I'm Ryan. Some say it's just not feasible. We'll discuss whether they are drunk or sober when we return.
You know, Betty White really is the greatest Golden Girl. Choosy parents choose Jif. He's so mean. He really is. Hey Ryan, are we out of partisan again?
Companies can't afford to pay employees $15 an hour, drunk or sober.
I'll start here again. Okay. I'm sure that maybe some can't, but it's obvious that many can. If you look at the biggest employer in the country, the United States, Walmart, the people who own the company are all part of the 10 richest people in the world. And the way they got that money was by not giving it to the employees, by not sharing it with the employees, sharing or whatever, paying, whatever you want to call it. So it's obvious that lots of people have the money to do it.
So they're millionaires.
They are. They're multi-millionaires. They're even billionaires.
Oh, they're billionaires.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
It's more than $1 million.
It's like
it's 1,000 million.
Yeah, 1,000 million.
Yeah, and they've got that many times over. It's a ridiculous amount of money. But beyond that, they're kind of detracting from the statement here and the purpose and the sentiment, because minimum wage isn't about the company at all. Not in the least. It is about the worker. And I think a lot of people here also, when they say they can't afford to do it, whereas, like I said, I'm sure in some cases that's true. I'm sure in some cases some little small guy or a little business can't afford to do it. But a lot of times I think when they say afford, they mean willing.
Okay.
Like, can you afford to, or does it just cut into your profits? And, in business and capitalism, profits are king, right?
Yep.
But that's not what we're supposed to be measuring. That's not what minimum wage is. It's not a measure of a business's ability. It's a measure of a business's responsibility. And
I'm going to quote that.
Thanks. And the other thing is, so let's say if they can't afford to pay whatever the minimum wage is, what's your lower threshold? And what's the reasoning for getting there? If you're like, oh no, we can't, this is what's required, but they can't pay it, are you saying that they should not exist or that they should exist but pay less? It's sort of a nebulous argument. And lastly, I'm going to go back to old Fitter, old FDR, because he spoke to this point specifically in saying, no business which depends for existence on paying less than living wages to its workers has any right to continue in this country. And that is obviously not centered around the business and minimum wage. It's around the worker and the person who's working.
Right.
They're looking at it wrong. Oh yeah, by the way, because the point of the show is, yeah, they're drunk. This is also super drunk. I don't even know that I need to give BACs at this point. They're all just hammered.
Okay.
Keep going.
All right, so I'm actually saying they're a little bit less drunk.
Ooh.
Only because I think there might actually be businesses that can't afford, if we say $15 an hour. Now, you've stolen a lot of my material because, as many of you know, if you pay attention to the show, we don't discuss our talking points. So yes, I was going to say Walmart can indeed afford $15 an hour. They just don't want it to eat into their profits. And of course, we give them a pass for some reason for screwing the American public. So they screw their workers and us because they just want a bigger profit. That's what it is. It's just about profit for them. They can afford to do it without screwing anyone. All right. The small businesses, to your point, I was going to quote FDR. Yeah, here's the deal about small businesses. If you're a small business and you're providing the same service as a large business or the same product set, we're looking for value somewhere else. What is the value you're offering? What differentiates you from them? And that differentiator should be what you would use to charge us more money as the public. Because if you're charging the same amount and you're a small business, that's hard to believe because big businesses tend to be able to do that. Yes. So we'd expect you to charge more or magically provide a better service somehow. And if you aren't doing that, you don't deserve to be a business.
It's capitalism, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't deserve to be here. I'll talk about that a little bit in another point.
Okay.
All right. So where I'm going to go with this, since I just restated everything you just said. is I'm just going to break down some finances for you. All right, I'm
Okay.
going to do a scenario. So you have, let's say we have a person making $10 an hour. All right?
Okay.
They're working 40 hours a week. In this scenario, they are able to meet their financial obligations,
Okay.
which means no matter what, they don't go beyond how much they make, their gross pay. The only reason I'm talking about it this way is so you at home can actually do the finances if you want to. We have a constraint, an upper limit constraint on how much money they're bringing in.
Okay.
It's the max gross pay, all right? So $10 an hour, working 40 hours a week. They make X amount of money. Well, it turns out if you give them a raise to $15 an hour,
Okay.
that all businesses that they go to unilaterally across the board can increase their sales 30%, and that person who's now making $15 an hour still has approximately $200 left over a month. $200 a month.
So when you say, so they get a 50% raise.
Yep.
And if they go to whatever store, every store in the world, or at least in the U.S., has raised the prices on their products.
Yes.
Okay.
30%.
That's
Gas goes up, clothes go up, food goes up, activity prices all go up 30%. So whatever they were paying for those individually at $10 an hour, they go up 30%, and now they're making $15. They still have approximately $200 left over every month.
Is that $200 more than before?
It is.
So they get extra money
They
left
have
over. Okay.
extra money left over. And as we point out, I don't think every business has to raise their prices at all, let alone across the board 30%. That includes his rent, by the way, this person's rent.
Oh, that's big.
So they don't have to do that. They're going to choose to do that. The next argument I'm going to make is that $200, and this is the plan, this is the people who are trying to sell it, will go back into the economy. And I think it will. And I'm going to say the reason being is because Americans are notoriously bad at saving money.
Yeah.
Right? We don't take our money and save it. No, we go and spend it. We have $200 more. And so our concern is everyone above minimum wage is going to have to eat that 30% too. And that's true. You are. But all that means is you're going to spend 30% less than you were before. But all that's going to do is going to counteract the price increase. So the businesses are still making the same amount off of you that they were before. But now they're also getting that $200 a month from the minimum wage workers.
Which is, volume-wise, is huge.
It's huge. So that's the argument. When I looked at this statement, it wasn't that businesses can't afford it. It's the argument is, well, if we do it and if we increase their wages and we increase prices, and then it's a wash. But it's not a wash. It's not. Final call? Last call.
I would say something you'd talked about with like Walmart and these businesses needing to undercut. Yeah, it's not feasible for a small business to match Walmart prices. It just isn't. They have the volume to do it. The small businesses don't. So yeah, if you're providing the same product, of course you're going to fail. It really does need to be something different. There needs to be that differentiator.
Value add.
Yeah, there's got to be the value add. I think you hit that nail right on the head, man.
All right. Madam Brewmaster. Next talking point.